And now I'm coming to part 2. I think it's an interesting part. It's a part about my lessons learned. I'll tell them from my personal point of view after 7 years as the head of the Emancipation Affairs Officer. 3 elements, 3 key lessons learned. Argue the case of diversity convincingly. Second, demonstrate it as a matter of urgency. And third, lead to succeed. And please let me invite you to make a note of your questions, your remarks, your experiences. And I'm really looking forward to hear from your stories in the third part during our Q&A. So don't hesitate and keep them close to you. Well, first I would like to tell you something about this. Perhaps you know this model. It's the model of change management. When you are talking about diversity management, in fact, you are talking about change management. I don't know if some people in the room already have some experience with change management. No? Nobody? Well, anyway, if you're going to start with something related to change management, you always have to take into account that there are 4 phases. First, the phase of envisaging. What's your vision? Is there a problem? Okay, what's your vision? Where are you heading? Second, your organization. How are you going to implement the vision? Your core team, your change agents, your communication channels. And after that, you are coming to the third phase, the phase of time for action, implementation. And after that, after some while, you're coming in the fourth phase, the phase of anchoring the things you changed. I'm going to use this model to explain you my personal lessons learned. Well, perhaps you already knew this, but a lot of change management processes fail. 70%. Research done by John Cotter, a world-recognized change manager expert, shows that 70% of those change management initiatives fail. So when you are talking about diversity management, this conference is about diversity management, change management. If you don't do it in a good way, you will fail. So please take into account the 4 phases. What is your vision? What are the reasons? Who are your change agents, your guiding coalition? How are you going to implement? And how are you going to anchor your situation? Well, my first lesson learned, argue the case of diversity convincingly. What really are your reasons? What is going to change? Why do you think these are the good reasons? Let's take into account my organization, the Flemish government, is different from yours. You will need to find your own reasons that connect to your organization. I'll give you the example of the reasons I used to convince my organization to invest in the promoting of more women to management positions. And perhaps there are other reasons for your organization, and that's perfect. But these are the reasons I used to convince my organization. And before I start explaining them, I would like to underline this very important thing. Try to find those reasons that connect to your organization. Try to find those reasons that will solve the problems, the other problems your stakeholders have. Don't only use the reasons that solve your problem. I would like to have more women in management positions, but there is another problem too in our organization. When we have a vacancy, the average number of candidates is 2 or 3. It's probably because we have an internal system of career path. But anyway, we have the problem too of just 2 or 3 candidates for a management position, very important positions. So you must be really lucky to have very good candidates if you only have 2 to 3 candidates. So if we try to activate the hidden pool of female talents, we also can solve the problem, the other problem my managers face. It's a win-win situation. A second argument I used to convince my managers and the ministers in charge is that we chose to go towards a new model of leadership. If we choose managers, we'll be looking for people with a good expert knowledge. But nowadays, we are also looking for men and women who are good in communication skills, team building skills, skills related to coaching. And research shows that definitely women are good at those competencies. So if you promote the number of women in those positions, you also promote the new management model. That's another problem we can solve. A third reason, there is quite a strong pressure of public opinion. I don't know if the same goes for Estonia. I really don't know. So perhaps you can tell me later on. But anyways, in Flanders, we have a strong women's movement. And they put pressure on our government to appoint more women in top management positions. So we have to answer to that question. And it goes without saying, my fourth reason, as a government, you need to lead by example. We ask companies in Flanders to invest in diversity, to recruit diverse colleagues. If you don't do it yourself, you're not credible. So we need to lead by example. And the fifth reason, diversity, gender diversity, improves performance. Kari already mentioned the research done by Catalyst. There's also other research that confirms the same conclusion. McKinsey and also the Credit Suisse Institute recently showed the findings of their report. And here you can see the findings. They're going in the same direction as the report of the Catalyst. I'll tell you something about this. Companies with women on their boards perform better in challenging markets than those with all-male boards. Shares of companies with a market value of more than $10 billion, which also have women board members, outperformed comparable businesses with all-male boards by 26% worldwide over a period of 6 years. And they looked at a lot of companies, 2,400 companies. You can find the report on the internet. It's a very recent report, published in July 2012. Perhaps you remember the case of the ECB, European Central Bank. I don't know if it was in the newspapers here in Estonia, but already since the ECB exists, there are only male members. And the European Parliament, didn't agree on that. There's now a new candidacy, a new candidate, and they said, okay, we are not against this person, but each time there is a new vacancy in the board of the ECB, it's always a male candidate. And the members of Parliament, well, most of them, not all of them, they said, okay, we don't agree. Do your homework again and come with a male candidate. I don't know what the result is at this moment, if they appointed the male candidate. But anyway, I think it was a good signal. Look at the head of the international, how was the name of the lady? The French minister, the former French minister? Yeah, IMF. What's her name again? Christine Lagarde. She's an example of a very competent person active in this domain, so I'm sure there are women. But you need to put them in front. Okay, let's imagine today's Thursday, next Monday, after the weekend, I'll give you this task. I'd like you to go to your management board and bring them a report with your reasons. Which reasons would you choose to convince your management board why they should or you should invest in diversity in your organization? I told you about the reasons we used to convince our organization to promote the number of women in management positions, but which reasons would you choose? Here you can find some examples, but I'm sure that there are other examples, but perhaps they can inspire. But imagine, please make the exercise. Next Monday, you have the meeting. Which reasons would you choose? Let's look at them. Do you think it's a good idea to give your managers the reason, the incentive that investing in diversity helps you to better understand your clients, so that it's possible to look at new target groups, to appeal to more clients? That would be a good, valuable reason. Or are you going to choose for the reason that it stimulates innovation, creativity? I think the same goes for Estonia. You're doing well in an economically sense, so you need the best talents. Do people of foreign descent choose to come to Estonia? Because I think, hey, they are very open for diversity. I can feel at home. Is that the case? I don't know. Companies like Google, Facebook, people come from all over the world. They want to go to there to work in such companies. Or are you going to choose the reason of, it helps us to win the war for talent? As Mr. Koen Haverbeke already told you, in Flanders we are facing a shortage in the labor market. If you invest in diversity, you can have an image of an open and tolerant employer. And it helps you to distinguish yourself, your company, from the others, and to win the war for talent. Or are you going to choose the reason, no, it's just fair, it's a question of human rights? Or perhaps the reason of, it lends legitimacy to our decision making. If you know that the decisions a government takes are taken by employers, by staff, which reflects your own, perhaps your ethnical background, you're more likely to accept the government. And it's important for you as a government that all your citizens accept your decisions. Or it can help to reduce costs. When people are unemployed, you need to invest in financial benefits for the unemployed. So if you're capable to activate your unemployed, cost reduction. Or are you going to promote the reason of, it improves participation? We all have a brother or sister, a mother or a father. Having a job gives you a social identity. Being somebody, meeting people, know what's going on in society. I told you about my 3 colleagues. The person with a reduced level of performance. He's also a father. He also has a son and a wife. And being active, having a job, is also a signal that, hey, I'm part of the society. And definitely as a government, we want to make this choice that integrating our diversity makes everybody part of our society. So I'm curious about what reasons you would choose. There are definitely other reasons. Okay, I'm coming to my second lesson learned. Once you have chosen your reasons, you need to use the moment. When you are having your meeting next Monday, you need to convince your managers that these are the good reasons, but also it's very urgent that we act now. This is the moment, we have to do this now. So what are you going to use? What is Estonia going to choose as reason we have to do this now? It's urgent. I'll give you an example of the urgent situation in Flanders, why we have to invest in diversity now. Aging population. These are some figures of our labor market. In 2010, for each group of 100 workers 55 and over, you had 112 workers 25 and younger. Okay, we know in 2020, for each group of 100 workers 55 and over, we only have 87 workers 25 and under. What does it mean? We know that we are going to a shortage, an increasing shortage in the labor market. So, what's the problem? Well, a lot of problems. One example, who's going to pay our pensions? If we don't have enough people to do the jobs, we don't have enough money to pay for the pensions. So here, once again, if we solve the problem of activating hidden pools in the labor market, often diverse people, if we succeed to solve that problem, we also succeed to solve the other problem, money for the pensions. So we can have a win-win situation. So let's summarize. Don't lose the momentum for change. It's necessary. I gave you reasons, and it's urgent to act now, at this moment. Show what's going wrong, why people benefit from this change. Capitalize on that energy immediately, and let them see the results as soon as possible. Win-win situation. Everybody can be happy. Diversity has many advantages, but be creative. Look for the facts and figures and build up a good argument. I can tell you that after my 7 years as the head of the Emancipation Affairs Unit, it's very important that you can convince your managers. If you don't convince them, forget it. And this is my third lesson learned. In fact, the most important lesson I learned after 7 years. Lead to succeed. There must be leadership. If you don't convince your managers, if they don't take leadership, it won't change. Walk the talk. Be active. It's not enough that after the signing of the charter tomorrow, they hand over the task to the human resources officer or the diversity officer. That's leadership in a passive way. You need to be active. And you can do that in many ways. And I'll give you later on some examples. But first this. Not many people are active in the domain of change management. I saw no hands. But this is important to know. Any change you do, it can be about changing the environment or changing I don't know what. In change management, you always have this proportion of people who will and will not follow. Don't be disappointed if you launch your report next Monday in the management board that you don't feel a lot of energy. But there always will be a small group of 10 to 20% persons who will follow. They are your guiding coalition. And only after time, the majority will follow, some 60%. And I'm sorry to say, but there is always a group of people who will oppose, the opponents. Don't put your energy in the third group. You won't convince them. Put your energy in group 1 and group 2. So if you are active in your organization for the promotion of diversity, don't be disappointed when you feel that you don't convince your people. Work on it, work hard, and you will see after some time the majority will follow. But use the good arguments at the good moment, win-win situation, and so on. But this is important to know, so don't be disappointed. Some examples. I'll reduce my presentation because it's already almost 12 o'clock. Walk the talk as a leader. Some examples, there are others. So be visible. For example, as a woman in a management position, because you're a woman in a management position, even without doing anything special, you're already a role model. But you can do it in an active way and really encourage women to be candidates for vacancies. You can be an ambassador for a diversity project. It doesn't need to take a lot of time, but it's something very visible. You can sign a charter. Mention the importance of diversity in a speech. You can write about it in a newsletter or a blog, or you can invite diverse staff for an informal chat. One of our top managers, the boss of one of those departments, he does it once in a while. He invites, during a breakfast meeting, a member of staff, a diverse member of staff. Because when you are at the top, I don't know if you experienced already, you don't know always what's going on in your organization. There are many levels in between. So anyway, it's a good idea to invite your members of staff once in a while, but it's also a good idea to invite diverse staff, because then you know what the problems really are, and you can also hear the solutions they see. And it's a strong signal to your organization. Okay, you can encourage diverse people to apply for vacancies. And even better, you can hire diverse people. That's the proof you really believe in diversity. And it's also important to react loud and clear in case of an incident. For example, sexual harassment. Don't give a reaction after a week. Do it the same day. I'm going to conclude my presentation by giving you an example of leadership in my organization. A few years ago, I think 2 years ago, we also organized an event like your conference today and tomorrow, and our managers signed a charter. This was about the topic of openness, awareness related to the issue of sexual orientation in our workforce. And this is a very important paragraph. As managers, we give a clear message. If employees wish to be open about their sexual orientation, they must be able to do so uninhibited. We ask all employees to respect and to be tolerant towards gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender colleagues in all our administration, in all positions, at all levels. 80% of our managers signed this charter. And here you can see an image of the event with many representatives of management and representatives of my minister, the minister responsible for the civil service. It's important to have such a meeting like your conference today and tomorrow, to feel the energy, to use it as a momentum, to start to kick off your program for the next years. So I told you about the Flemish government, the kind of actions we take, the results we have. In part 2, I told you about the importance of choosing good reasons, appealing reasons that connect to your organization, to promote a win-win situation, find a good momentum and capitalize on that energy, and to show leadership. Now, we are coming to the last part. We have some time for Q&A, but I would like to hand you over these 2 questions for a personal reflection after this presentation. What initiatives can you see? Do you believe with your head and with your heart? Do you really believe? And are you really motivated? Are you a leader? Each of us can be a leader in diversity too. Are you part of the guiding coalition? Are you part of the 10-20% guiding coalition? I hope you really are. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I really enjoyed giving the presentation. I really hope I could inspire with some interesting ideas, some examples of initiatives. But I'm sure I can learn from your experiences as well. So the floor is yours.